So this is going to be a SEO audit. I want to give a quick shout out to Karen for being such a kind sport and letting me make a video about this. Hopefully this can help other people out there. So some quick things that I'm seeing is that this is maybe isn't like necessarily SEO, but this is kind of like hard to read. I would have a block behind this that's a different color than the background to kind of make it so it's a little bit easier to read. Some other things is that this is pretty light on content regarding SEO purposes. Ideally, what you want to do is have a lot of text describing what you're doing, and then also have a lot of references to your area code, especially if you're doing like a service area based business, not doing like something online. It's good that you have the phone number on here because Google is going to read this and see the area code and know where you're based out of. Doesn't guarantee, but it helps as a signal. And as we go through this, we're going to see a lot of these are signals that it's giving more confidence to Google that you provide these services in these areas. So I would first off add more information here. Then on your services, again, I would try to make this so this is just a little bit easier to read. I would also, instead of having these as two columns side by side, I would more have one up front first and then a second one down below. Um, Another thing to think about is you need to figure out how people search for your services. A lot of the times what ends up happening is that us as the technicians or us as the service providers, we have the phrasing or wording of how we think about our service. And what ends up happening is that we'll add wording or technical terms onto our pages that are what we would describe it as, but to the layman, when they search in Google, they're not going to necessarily use the fancy words. An example of this is when you want to sell a product like a scarf, right? You can do a listing and have it say sunset colored scarf as an example, but what you really want to do is just say orange scarf. People aren't going to search in Google for a sunset colored scarf. They're more likely going to search orange scarf. And it also makes it easier for Google and other crawlers to understand, oh, this is a orange scarf. So whenever you design your services pages, you want to make it obvious that you're selling an orange scarf. You're selling a dog sitting service, and you want to have that multiple times across the page. And then also, so something you can do on desktop is you can right click and view page source. And then you're going to want to do Control F, and then we're going to want to search for canonical, Canon, and we can see there's no canonical tag. What a canonical tag is it's telling the bots that come and crawl the site what is the domain or what is the URL that I need to go to? What is the top level referenced URL or the top level reference domain that I should go to every single time? Something to consider with this is that if this canonical tag has www, and when I say www, I mean www dot, and everywhere else on the site you don't have www when you're linking to other pages. Like as an example, if I hover over these URLs or these buttons, I can see in the bottom left that this has the www.com, but if you put canonical tags or if you have external links, like let's say you put on your Facebook profile page the URL link to your website and it doesn't have the www, what Google's going to think is that there's two versions of your site. And you're like, wait, that isn't that doesn't make sense. Well, how it works is that Google will index your page for this specific URL. Any changes to this URL means to Google is that there's another website to visit. But it's going to crawl both. It's going to crawl both of those pages and see that they're exactly the same, which is not good. Another thing to consider, this is a little more advanced, is that if Google's able to find your HTTP and your HTTPS, and if it finds the www version and the non-www version of your website, Google's going to think that there's 4 different versions of your website. If you tag on to this, where sometimes URLs will have the trailing slash and you have links to your pages with this or on your Google My Business profile, then Google's going to think that there's potentially up to 6 different versions of your website. So every time there's a specific URL that links to a specific page in Google, Google doesn't understand that these are all the same page and references them all to one. It's going to think that there's 4 different versions of the same page and think it's all duplicate content. For your services, you also are going to want, if you have the ability to edit this, I don't know what web builder you're using, you're going to want to put a description. So it's called a description tag. It's an HTML tag. You can ask your favorite LLM about this, kind of explain it to you. You can even have your LLM, or when I say LLM, like your AI, you can ask ChatGPT to, hey, can you give me a good title tag and a good meta description tag for my page? This is what I'm servicing. This is what I'm trying to do, and it will help you. Now on your website builder, you may have to figure out where these are located for you to edit. And then the next thing to consider is that there are these HTML tags called H1s. So H1s is hierarchical. It's very easy, very simple to understand. H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Typically, you want the title tag, you want the description, and you want your H1 to have your main service or have versions of the keyword of your service for when people search for it. Some other things you might want to consider is that you do not have a robots.txt file. You could literally just make one and leave it blank and it would suffice. You do not have a sitemap. So to figure out if you have a sitemap, you need to go to your homepage, / type in sitemap.xml, and you'll notice you don't have one. What this does is, and I'll show it on my site, this is a reference for bots to know how many URLs there are on the website. And URLs are basically just links. This is just a URL. All of this text is what you would put in the address bar at the top, and it would take you to the page. As you can see on my site, I have a lot of URLs, and this makes it easier for Google to find all of my pages. Google or another crawling bot can come in here and crawl these line by line and figure out, okay, he has this page, this page, this page, this page. He has all these pages. Next, this isn't necessarily SEO, but I would get these images on your homepage. Something else to consider is, so let's see. What I'm looking for right now is your alt tags. So image, donkey drop-in, daycare, Saints. Okay, so you do have alt text. That's good. So what alt text is it's a bit of text that kind of describes what this image is about, and then you could also do description tags, and you can describe what this image is about, and then that can help Google or bots understand what this image is about and how it relates to your page. Another thing you want to do is you want to put keywords in there, and what keywords are is, like we said before, is what people are searching for. So you want to place it in there. Um, I would put some of these adorable pictures on your homepage. And then let's see the next thing. So when I search for your, like I literally just I take your header, your H1 or your hero tag, and I just search for it. Something we instantly see in Google is that there's an HTTP version of your site, which is what I was just speaking about before, and it's not good. Also, I don't know if this is your GMB, but I would get a link on here to your social profiles and your website. A regex or just like a search, like a tricky search term or a search way you can look at sites is you can do site colon and then in quotations put the site you want to look at. And what we can do is here is we can see what Google has currently indexed for your site. And we can see that there's multiple versions of your homepage indexed in Google. Notice how there's the non-dub. This is with HTTP. This is the dub HTTP. And then this is the HTTPS dub. Uh, so yeah, you need to fix that. Um, so a good way to do kind of a cursory glance. This isn't a very detailed way to do keyword research, but very, it's a strong way of doing keyword research, if that makes sense. It's not gonna tell you everything, but it's gonna get you your foot into the door to kind of understanding how people search. And what is this is called Google Trends. So if you want to find Google Trends, you can literally just search Google Trends and Google search. You can go here and then we can find how are people searching for our services. So you offer dog sitting or pet sitting. So let's see. Let's see. Pet sitting. I like to do the past 5 years. And then we'll do dog sitting. We'll do house sitting. Uh, home watch. Let's see. House watcher, house sitter. We had, another thing you want to consider is that the different verbs or nouns of words can have different search frequency. So like house sitting and house sitter may have different search volumes. So let's see here. So the top one is home watch. Then you have house sitting, dog sitting, you have pet sitting, and then you have house sitter. So we can see you probably don't want to you don't want to be targeting house sitter. But now what we need to do is we need to Google it. And when we Google it, we can see what is Google displaying to us. So we can see right here, these tags on these Google My Business profiles are pet sitter. So let's go back. Let's see. Do we have pets? We have pet sitting, but pet sitter. Oh, I should probably spell sitter, right? And let's see. Then we can see where pet sitters is currently. So Home Watch is still doing better, but let's see. Let's scroll down here. So best pet sitters. So let's try adding an S to this. Did that change? So it went down. So we can see that we want to target pet sitter more. Okay. Then let's see. Pet sitter. stay at my house to sit. Let's see. Top pet sitters, pet care, dog walking, dog walkers. So you may offer dog walking service. I don't know if you do, but as an example, dog walker, dog walking. And we can kind of see how often these are searched and what we want to target. So we can see that dog walking is searched way more frequently than dog walker. So that's good. And then another thing you can do just as like a powerful or like quick way to do some keyword research is you can go into Google Ads. You can use Google Ads as a keyword tester. You don't have to pay. It's going to ask for your credit card information, but you don't have to pay for anything. You can literally just use the service. You don't have to have any campaigns running or anything. So now we're going to start taking these keywords and we're just going to get results, and then it's going to give you broaden your search. So let's see, pet service, dog care service, pet sitting. Let's click that one. House pet sitting. So that's interesting. That's a keyword we haven't tried. So let's go back over here. Which one's doing the worst? So house sitter's doing the worst. So we are going to replace that one. And then we can see house pet sitting is not doing that much better either. We'll do view results again. Okay, so then it's not really recommending any more words for us. Filter by the amount of times it's searched. This doesn't necessarily mean anything. These are very broad ranges, but it gives us an overall confidence level, overall like think about like painting with a paintbrush. We're not necessarily getting like dead on, but we're picking up everything as we go. We're building more confidence. We're having a better understanding of what we want to target, what keywords we want to use on our pages. So let's see here. I'm just looking over the words in here to see if there's anything else we want to try to target. And it doesn't look, let me see, dog walking service. We can put that in here. Yeah. Okay. So puppy sitter. See, that's another. Granted, a lot of these don't have a ton of search volume, so they may not be worth targeting, but it gives you a better understanding of how people are searching. These two tools are Google products, and they tell you, hey, this is about how much people are searching for these services. Something else to consider is when we search these terms, we want to see we want to see what is being displayed in Google for these search results, because this is going to give us a better understanding of what Google's wanting to display in the search results. Um, there's a lot more I can go into. For you specifically, I would get different service pages for your different services that you offer. Now, I don't think you should do a cat sitting service, a dog sitting service, and like go down that route. I think you should kind of think of it more as like the top level that is more broad that can cover those keywords. So I would have a service page for house sitting, and then like we said before, have your meta tags, your title tag, and your meta description, and having those in there. Also with the area, your home base service area. So you're in, where are you at? St. Petersburg. So in your uh, title tags, meta descriptions, I would have this at least like once or twice, and then consider for your like H1s to be house sitter or house sitting in St. Petersburg. And I would also try to get, like I mentioned, get different pages for each of your services, but keep it high level and don't have like one for dogs, cats, iguanas, etc. Have it pet sitting service or home sitting service. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, reach out.